Jamie,
Hey.
welcome in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming all the way out here, spending a half day with us. We're really excited to have you, and I'm a little starstruck, and I'll introduce you as best I can,
Okay.
certainly professionally, but Jamie Johnson, 3-time Grammy Award nominee, bluegrass musician, who has been pretty open with his recovery and recovery journey over the past few years. So it's exciting that you would come and just talk to us about that and share with us some of the insight related to your story.
Yeah, it definitely feels a whole lot better pulling into Cumberland Heights these days because I know that I'm pulling back out when I'm ready to go.
Absolutely.
But I'm grateful to be here. This was the first anything I ever had to do with any part of my recovery.
Really?
This was my first
No
part
kidding.
of it
Your
was
first
here.
introduction.
Yeah, 18 of 10 years ago. So,
Okay.
2000.
So had you been to a meeting? Did you know any of the culture?
Well, some judges made me go to meetings, but I certainly didn't. That's just because I got unfortunate, DUIs.
Yeah.
But I never went there and said I'm an alcoholic or anything like that.
Right.
So
right.
when I came here, I actually toured the facility about a month before.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
And the guy that toured me through here is my sponsor now.
No kidding.
And has been from day one. So he's been in the good days and the bad days. But he toured me through the facility. And then the next month on a Sunday, my wife said, "You need to go." And the next morning I was here, checked myself in. And I was at the time 40 years old. I traveled the world playing music. And as you mentioned, the Grammys, I'd just literally been to the Grammys that year. And I came in here backpedaling. I did not belong here. I just had some bad luck. And, well, when I finally got sober, I would have raced you in here. So, it wasn't my time at that time, but it was part of my journey because I'm still friends with a lot of the cabin mates right here behind us.
That's
where
right.
I slept
That's
every night.
right. Absolutely. Give us a sense of, so there's some folks that listen to this show that don't know anything about recovery and certainly know very little about the process of treatment. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about what it's like to show up to a treatment center and maybe what those first few days are like and what you got out of it.
I think my best explanation for this is the same feeling I had the first time Mom dropped me off to kindergarten. The fear of her walking back out. And when I turned around, she wasn't there to hold my hand anymore. I was on my own amongst a bunch of strangers that I didn't trust. But if I could let somebody look through my eyes of once I got here and got settled in and got to meet the people that were exactly like me, maybe a different pair of shoes, but their stories were extremely similar. My stories all of a sudden weren't so unique. Somebody usually topped my story. Well, every time, not usually. And if I could give them the comfort of knowing that this is the best decision you ever made, you're going to be just fine. The 30 days are going to seem like forever for about the first week, and then all of a sudden it goes by. And when you're singing out, we always would sing each other out. Best feeling ever, and I was so glad that I did it. This is not failure. You're one of the lucky ones who made it here. The world's going to keep on spinning without you a whole lot smoother for the next 30 days or 60, whatever it is you're staying for. And I would say, welcome to a better you and a better life. If this is what you want, you're in the right place.
Reminds me of this idea or presentation, getting clean and sober is never convenient. Ever.
You're all of a sudden busy.
Oh,
wait a minute! I got to go to work. Well, hell, heck, you haven't been there for a month,
right?
Now all of a sudden you got to be to work. So yeah,
right. And like you said, there's a lot of content prior to investigation. I too was a former patient here.
All right,
13 years ago, and I remember that feeling of getting dropped off and literally, being in medical and getting assigned a buddy, which I think is a common experience for any treatment center, agnostic of where you end up going, and just feeling, what have I gotten myself into now?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's really interesting meeting people with different pairs of shoes, different experiences, and recognizing we're a whole lot more connected than I otherwise assumed, and how powerful of a mechanism that can be to start to be okay
Yeah.
with who we are.
Yeah.
And what we've done.
The prayers in the morning, we had a unique group. There was one guy who had been a counselor.
No
and
kidding,
knew
yeah.
the book inside and out and had relapsed after like 12 years. And he came in, and great big old presence of a man too. And we all just kind of before we'd even go meditate in the morning, we would be, the early risers would get up and go in there and read out of the book. And it was a humbling experience as well, because, I was still very much into my ego. And I used that as a tool to fit in, to tell them everything I'd done. I had to tell you before you left, and we'd had to get to it sometime or another. We're going to get to it. So it was the one place where they did not give a sheet
Right.
of anything that I had done. That we were trying to save our lives, man.
Yeah, right.
So it was a great,
What a
the
cool
best
spiritual
experience.
lesson,
Absolutely.
And in a way you wouldn't expect, right? Of when you're here, you're equal. We sit in a circle for a reason. We identify by first name for a reason, and there's a spiritual principle within that, not a humiliation, but a humility. It's a beautiful thing. Can I rewind with you?
Yes, sir.
So, tell us where you're from and how your career got started, and anything you'd like to share about any insight you might have about maybe where addiction began or certainly began to take root would be interesting to hear about.
Okay. Well, I was born in 1972, as my son says. I'm from the 1900s.
Right.
I was born in southern Indiana, a little town called Milan. If you've ever seen the basketball movie Hoosiers, that's my hometown.
Okay.
So I'm a
Right
huge basketball fan.
Yeah.
However, I did a lot of what we're doing right here in basketball season. I got in the last minute of the game, and it wasn't to win,
Right.
I always had a real clean uniform.
Yeah,
My shoes were brand new all year.
Right.
But I loved the sport. I'm a great fan. But that's about all you had to do there. A lot of cornfields. I don't really ever remember doing anything. The worst I ever did was my neighbor, Ruby Burns. We stole her cigarettes and we'd smoke them. And like Mr. Clinton, I never inhaled. I didn't know how to. I'd choke.
Right,
I
gotcha.
still can't smoke a cigarette
That's a deep cut
properly.
right there.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
So, other than throwing rocks at the train when it go by, things like that, I really was a pretty good kid. I was the youngest of 4 kids, but my older sister Joyce, all-state athlete, and Lee, my older brother, all-state football. My brother Brad, all-state wrestler, and then me, most improved my senior year. Wasn't the one I was going for, but I think that was one of my big insecurities. I was small, and
did you know it then?
yes.
That you were insecure about it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, maybe I didn't, but I mean, I knew that I was short.
For sure.
I wanted to be taller.
Right.
And I knew I wanted to be on the basketball court, but I just wasn't quite quick enough or could
Right.
shoot very good.
Yep.
And I knew that my family was good.
Right.
So I knew that.
So just really natural
Yep.
comparison point.
Yep. And there was a different outlook for mom and dad to come. I mean, I don't think mom, but dad for sure when he'd come to my games, maybe not expecting as much from James as the other 3. So I had that. So I think I developed a story where I was a very good storyteller, so I could fit in. My senior year, I got voted in the yearbook best storyteller. So, I was full of crap a long time ago.
Which is correlated with what you said about your treatment experience too.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
As a tool to connect with people.
Yep.
It's interesting.
So, made for a good sales career too.
Right.
And I got picked to be the guy on stage to do all the talking. Like, let him fill it up. He's got plenty to say, obviously. So, and look back now, I wish maybe I wasn't that way. And I think this program has helped me grow in that sense, big time. Wasn't even something I was looking for, was to check my ego and check my storytelling and realize, does it have to be said now? Does it have to be said by me? Those type things. And that's helped a lot. Maybe.
Do I need to share in every meeting?
Yeah, right. Even where I come in here with an interview with you and I'm hesitant to say some things,
Sure.
So, but I grew up in that little town of Milan, and my family was bluegrass music lovers. And I mentioned my brother Brad, who was a year and 11 months older than me. I graduated in 1990 and went to college in Louisville, Kentucky. And Brad was a huge bluegrass music fan. I'm talking 15 years old, record player, got the Osborne brothers that sing Rocky Top, with a cup of coffee and his Fruit of the Looms down there at our floor mount record player. It kind of looks like that table over there.
Yeah.
And he would be listening to these Osborne brothers, and I was like, oh my gosh, shoot me now. I was into Michael Jackson and the Beatles and the Eagles and Prince and Def Leppard and Aerosmith, and I wasn't into the Osborne brothers, but March 18th of 1991, in college, I was working, and Brad had just got home from the Air Force, honorably discharged for alcohol. And still not one of our family members knew or thought anything different. Thought he had some bad luck.
Sure.
But March 18th, life changed forever. My supervisor came and got me at UPS. I was working and called me to the office to call home. And when I called home, my Aunt Geraldine told me that Brad had passed away. He had been intoxicated and playing Russian roulette with his buddies, and he shot himself.
I'm sorry.
And,
I'm so sorry. That's awful. That's tragic.
Yeah, that was big.
This was shortly after he was honorably discharged?
Yes, within 30 days. He hadn't been home very long at all. I did get to see him that day. We watched Days of Thunder together on VHS.
No kidding.
And I drove back to Louisville, and he could fix any car. He could weld anything. He could do everything cool. And he was a good athlete, so everybody loved Brad.
Right.
And so it was a big shock for everybody in our town when that happened, a small town like that. And that definitely affected my whole family.
Absolutely.
Tremendously. And I'll never, ever blame any of that on why I drank.
Sure.
I grew up drinking. Dad would go to the Legion. All them guys seemed to have a good time. I watched Cheers. Those guys, like, they got this thing down, man.
Right.
I want to be that guy. I want to be Norm, you know?
Right. Of
Have
course.
a few drinks and roll to the
Everybody's
house.
somebody, yeah.
So that's what I associated with. I had zero intention of becoming an alcoholic.
Right.
As none of us do.
Exactly.
We're the only ones who can help each other get through this. There's some amazing special degrees out there that help us with mental issues and other issues that get us to being an alcoholic. But I'm far as saying getting out of the fire that we're in, we are the firemen. We're the fire chiefs that we walk to each other. And that's how you make it out of here. It's all a vessel from our higher power. But
it's a special phenomena, just to highlight a little bit more before, like that there are these meetings that take place in the tens of thousands all across the country where no one's in charge.
Yeah.
There's no hierarchy. The highest level you can get to is something called a trusted servant. And you can usually spot them outside of a church around 7 or 8 where a bunch of people are smoking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody's there to help themselves and help somebody who just showed up. And it's pretty bizarre to think about that culturally in terms of the exchange of what you're looking for and what you're getting, and where we are such an instant gratification. What are you doing for me lately? That's been my experience in our culture. And so to have these resources available everywhere that speak all sorts of languages, defend your right to believe in whatever it is you want to believe in, and access life-saving program that we call recovery is a modern phenomenon. You know,
It's not a late night infomercial.
No, it is not.
You're not going to have to pay it at the end. Like, all right, now we got.
That's
you.
a great point.
Yeah,
because I think a lot of people think, you know,
they
like,
think there's something behind it, some sort of scheme,
something weird's happening
pyramid.
here. Somebody's going to bust out some robes.
Yeah. I see that on faces of newcomers now when they first come in. When they mention a sponsor, they go, "Oh, I am broke. I'm going to pick the guy who drove
You
the
see the
Mercedes in here.
baskets.
He's good. I'm going to let you sponsor me."
You see the basket start floating around, and you're thinking, "Oh, I see now. Somebody's. This is going somewhere, right? Yeah, that's right. I knew it. Yeah, yeah."
But again, if I could have somebody see through my glasses now, I'm 51 and my font is as big as it'll go on my phone, but I've never seen better in my life. It's like them when they first came out with them 3D pictures or whatever, and you looked forever, and then all of a sudden you saw it. You can literally see that person who's looking into that picture's face smile when they see the ship and everything in them. What were they, 3D, 5D, whatever them pictures were?
A little, yeah.
and it looked like nothing at first, and then you all of a sudden you see this whole beautiful thing in it. That, to me, is what recovery is. When you quit looking, every time they'd say, relax your eyes and just look and relax in it. And every time I did that, I seen the boat in that thing. And right when you quit looking so hard and you just accept it's going to be just as far out of here as it was in here. My most important action word right now I can associate myself with is patience. And let that just be. And believe. I've got a new sponsee right now who came through here and is having a hard time with his higher power. And we all know why, because we've been through it. Because you're not getting everything you want right now.
100%, man.
The one thing that can get you what you want right now is a relapse. I can instantly get that same old feeling now. The other is going to take some time and effort, and then let him be in the results business, right?
Yeah.
And but that I just tried. I said, "Do you believe that I believe?"
Yep, there
He
you go.
asked me to sponsor you for some reason. And he says, I absolutely 100% believe that you believe us. That's all I can ask you to do right now.
Yeah.
I love this program.
Yeah. One of the things you're reminding me of, just in a common story, my own story, connections that I've made in my own recovery, is just always wanting to be places that we're not. Like when I was 13, I wanted to be 15. When I was 15, I wanted to be 18. 25, whatever. I'm 34 now. I want maybe it'd be nice to be 25 again. Whatever it is, but it's this desire to be in control. Yeah. To be in charge. In recovery, my experience has been that recovery it's Groundhog Day in some ways. Just continually gives me opportunities and reminds me of you're not in control. Surrender the outcome and move your feet. And it doesn't really matter what you think about it, Nick. It's my favorite thing about recovery. Recovery doesn't care about what you think about it. It just cares about what you do. So do you believe that I believe?
Yeah.
Well, shoot, Jamie, now that you ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And so I'll show up tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all you need to worry about.
That's right.
The
90-90 thing, because I work a lot of treatment centers. I get to go share my story. We write a song together. And even through that right there, a lot of times that question comes up, 90 and 90. It's like, listen.
Interesting.
Go today.
Right.
Today's the day you got.
Right.
String as many as you can together, and, man, hold on to that chair like it is your lifeline.
Yeah.
That chair, you're going to get so much through that chair if you hang on to it and believe and be patient. That way above and beyond just getting sober.
Right.
Everything's going to come back to you.
So you mentioned, I want to hear more about your work in treatment centers and being there for patients who might be fans of music, might be musicians themselves. Before we do, you mentioned your brother Brad and listened to the Osborne Brothers. When did you yourself become a musician?
Right then. When
Really?
he passed away, I grabbed all of his records and started listening to the music to remind me of him. And then the next thing you know, I'm singing every one of their songs. I've got a high voice. My college roommate's saying, you sound like that guy singing Rocky Top, and we hate it. But my family's like, my dad was like, I found my boy. He's not an athlete, but he can sing.
No kidding.
And Dad loved bluegrass, so he's like, that's my little boy.
That's
I,
wild.
Yeah, and of all things, I've 4 times on the Grand Ole Opry got to fill in the band of the Osborne Brothers and be that voice because Bobby had laryngitis. Now, he might have called 4 other guys before me, but I did get the call. Right. And I've got the pictures and video of me singing Rocky Top with the Osborne Brothers. Also, halftime at the University of Kentucky game, I sang their state song called Kentucky with Bobby Osborne, and they introduced us in front of that crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Osborne and the Graskels. And I started singing immediately. Got me a mandolin, figured out pretty quick I don't need a mandolin, I'm terrible at that. I got a guitar. I was 20 years old. I was going to be an electrical engineer. I stayed on the dean's list in college, had a really good job, and I had no interest in being in a light blue shirt with a name tag and dark blue pants and a hard hat and working in a steel mill.
Right.
I had my mandolin in there every night and drove my coworkers crazy, and I chased my dream. I remember leaving home and telling Mom, we didn't grow up rich by any means. We didn't know any difference because it was an awesome life, but I'll be sending you some money home, Mom. I'm going to get you some things. And I've been able to do some okay, cool things for her, but most of the checks I sent her were always IOUs. I had to pay her back because I partied when I got here. But the music came, and I came down here, and just January the 6th of 1998, I moved to Nashville and never looked back. Roomed with Terry, my roommate, who was in the Osborne Brothers band. So he took me down to the Station Inn. I got to sing every Tuesday night as a guest spot. He'd let me up, and he didn't have to do that.
Right.
He let me up, and he let this other guy who blew past all of his dirks. We sat at the same table. We got up, and I thought I smoked dirks, by the way. He got the paycheck in the career, but we all, every one of us, I mean, I met some amazingly famous people, Joe Nichols, Blake. They were just our friends. We were all broke together. And then the career came with the Graskels. I was trying to get a country music deal, and that didn't get signed. But we started the group, the Graskels. Our fiddle player played with Garth, Jimmy Mattingly, and Garth retired. So this is all about 2004. And late 2003, Jimmy walked into the Station Inn, saw Terry and I singing together, and said, "Hey, man, you guys want to start a band?" Terry and Jimmy had played in the Dolly Parton's band together. So next thing you know, we're cutting an album, called ourselves the Graskels. Just try to think of something, Little Rascals. We try to tie something in with Andy Griffith or anything like that to be cool and different. And then we played Grass, so we put Rascals with a G in front.
Okay.
And there it was. And Dolly heard our stuff and hired us as her band, and went on the road with her from the Station Inn, about 3 times the size of this room, to arenas around the country. So you can imagine, for a kid who worked so hard to get a Most Improved and 110% award, to get these type of successes, because those stages were my basketball court. I was Michael Jordan all of a sudden, and everybody back home knew my name. And all of that energy that I was focusing on just to get on the court, all of a sudden went to Most Valuable Player. And my ego got blown way out of proportion.
That's what I was going to ask, was it fuel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of what I did. I really am. It was a lot of luck. I was in a band. It wasn't like Dolly hired Jamie and the Graskels. She hired the Graskels.
Absolutely.
But nobody back home knew that. I'd be sitting in the Legion like, of course she liked me better than them.
Right, sure.
Lying through my teeth just to make my story even cooler than what it. And it was pretty cool just to leave it alone and say it was a pretty awesome gift that God gave me here, to fall into the band of Dolly Parton and have these amazing legends coming to your show because they want to see her. It was just a cool ride. Then she let the Graskels go in 2005 or 6. Not because she was going to change her direction. She knew we wanted to be a band, and right out of the gate, we were nominated for 2 Grammys in a row, and then about 6 years later, the 3rd one came, and we became Entertainer of the Year of all Bluegrass. I mean, we literally beat Alison Krauss and Ricky Skaggs one year, and that, come on, who wouldn't get an ego with that?
Right, sure, sure.
In reality, that would never happen. I mean, who's gonna go to whose show? We were smart enough to figure that out, but the Bluegrass folks thought a little bit of us. We got to start playing the Grand Ole Opry. We were on there. I've been on there 211 times in the
just
20
a few.
Years. Yeah. So that's a pretty awesome.
That speaks for itself. Yeah, there's value there.
It's some really, really amazing, cool things that we accomplished, and I grew a lot and met some of the most amazing people, recorded with some of the most famous people, and in the end, I can 150% say that this recovery right here of mine is my biggest thing that I'm proud of, an achievement ever. I've got a necklace on right now that my boy got me for Father's Day this year, that I may never have gotten.
Right. 100%.
So,
Well, it's what's interesting about your story is you've had 2 careers in your ability to touch people's lives. Right? You've got the recovery one, which makes sense to us in terms of showing up and being involved, and I respect that a lot about anybody. Being able to be consistent, sit in the front row, take notes, ask for help, show up early, stay late. Like that's what it's about, especially after you've done that for a few days in a row. But the other one is touching people's lives 211 times at the Grand Ole Opry and beyond, all across this country and all across the world. That is special. And I'm curious how you would describe your experience with drinking through that journey. Were you drinking?
During the music?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We were trying to bring George Jones legends back, by not showing up to the show and parking in the Walmart parking lot. The one time we got back and I was parked in the driving lane. I wasn't even in the parking spot. I was on the wrong side of that little island.
Right.
I just laughed it off. I was like, guys, I didn't even get a ticket.
Right.
And that whole show, we went to Georgia, 2 shows in Georgia and 1 in Florida, and I never got out of the bus one time to sing one note. They wouldn't let me out. They left the bus driver on there with me, so he got no sleep because he had to watch and babysit me. So yeah, unfortunately.
So from 1998 all the way through 2006.
No, 98 to about 2000. I don't feel like I drank in excess until probably 2008 or 9. Before that, I could take it or leave it.
Sure.
I might have a drink every night before the show, but never went past that.
Right.
Never slurring.
Right.
And I might drink after, and I might not. I think having our son Cole, the financial responsibility, we were on the top of the game, and then all of a sudden everything must come back down.
Right.
I mean, you got legends out there that stay. Most careers peak, and on our way back down, just trying to get back. Once you've been to the Grammy Awards, you want to win. It gets in your bloodstream. You want to go back. And 2 nominations, the first 2 albums, you think they're all going to be nominated.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
And then there's 4 in there with no nomination, so you think. So the pressure's on there. I was a bluegrass star, so therefore I worked a day job when I got home so I could have health insurance and 401k. We lived in a beautiful home. So people would come down and visit me and thought my music bought all that stuff.
Right.
I came off the bus on Monday morning and changed my clothes and rolled into work. So I had a lot on my plate, so it kept me, I think, from getting too tied down to the bottle. Because I had to have the money. I had to.
Right.
Until I didn't. Until things started, as we all know. I can't explain exactly where it all went. I just know that all of a sudden I was taking some nips in the morning to get through the day, and then I would go jog to sweat it out. So I had a plan.
Of course, we always do.
I had, I could tell you right now, you could name a city probably, and I could tell you right where the liquor stores were, and if we're at the hotel. If I was very skinny at the time, I mean, if the liquor store was 3 miles away from the bus, I'm going to be running 6 miles that day.
Yeah.
Because I am going.
Right.
Then I got smart and started carrying my bike underneath. But, however far that liquor store was, I'm going.
We're a clever bunch.
Yeah, so it crept in and it just grew like a lot of people. Stress, ego, fear, everything under the lies that were coming with it, the excuses.
Yeah.
The alcohol seemed, in my mind, I thought it was numbing all of that.
So what was the event, the season that brought you into recovery?
My wife, Susie Q, is not, never was a complainer. So she's one of them silent ones. So those are, I would rather have somebody complain and give me a fair warning, like, I'm going to leave you. Susie Q wasn't that way. She tried to be patient and let me work things out, and thinking I loved my son enough to stop putting vodka in my water bottle and driving him to school and to programs, to daycare, all the way to Indiana to see my parents with it. And
Yeah.
She finally just mentioned that you're drinking too much, and I got a DUI. Cost the family a lot of money, but I was able at the time with the 2 jobs to buy my way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the clear. I was good with that. Whew, got out of another one.
Mm-hmm.
She finally just said something, and the getting drunk and then having to go play a show. I would go to see my doctor, and kudos to my doctor. He was younger than I was. And I kept going there to get, I guess it was value. It was something to make me stop shaking, and so I could sing that weekend. And he finally said, how much are you drinking? He said, listen, I don't think I'm helping you anymore. I've got a friend I'd like to introduce you to who goes to this program, a recovery program. And that was my first real introduction. I said, yeah, the judge has made me go to that. He said, yeah, well, I'm not a judge, and I'm not judging you. I just care about you. You're a really good guy. And I know that good guy. And he said, you seem to be declining on me here. And so, awesome the way he did it. And I've stayed in contact with him, so he gets to follow my recovery journey too. And that's kind of where it crept in, and it never went away, I can tell you that. I could go for 2 weeks and say, I told you I was an alcoholic.
Right.
So, but tonight, I'm going to drink. And then that turned into another 2-month go around. So it just continued to get worse.
But the people around you sounds like they were accountable and stuck to their guns, which can be a powerful, that's a lot of our stories. A lot of the folks that walk into a meeting for the first time usually aren't begging to show up. They're usually there because they've been encouraged to by law enforcement or their local municipality or their family or their kids or what have you. And it can be a great resource of motivation in the early stages before you stop running to recovery, stop running away from addiction and start running towards recovery rather. And it sounds like that's a little bit of your story,
Yeah, absolutely.
And then coming here was your first treatment experience.
12/17, she asked me to come here. And we had already toured around,
of course,
around Thanksgiving, and I remember leaving and saying that just scared the hell out of me. I'm done. I won't. And I was drunk that night. But she came into the bedroom, and she'd come home and from being out shopping for Christmas, and Cole was in the couch by himself, and he was a baby, and running around, had lipstick all over his lips, he'd been into everything, and I was passed out in the bed, and she said, I think you need to go to that place we visited, Cumberland Heights. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get her off my back. All right, I'm going. Well, listen, I'm going for 30 days, and I'm going to come back here, and I don't want to hear no more about this.
But you were agreeable.
I was agreeable,
like,
but I said, I do think I need a break. I get it.
Okay.
So, because up to then, going back to the thing, I said, well, we got the Opry to play next week.
Right.
Like, you missed the last 2 Opry performances. All right, I'm going. What about work? I got steel work. I had my day job I had to do too. And she said, you haven't even, he already knows. He's been calling me. Your boss is calling me every day.
Right.
Is he up?
Right.
So you've got the green light, and thank the good Lord for the Recovery Grammy Foundation.
Music Cares.
Donna got me in here the first time, and
heck yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Steve Lee.
Yeah, Steve Lee's still with us.
Yeah, I know. He's my grandpa. He's my
okay,
grandsponsor.
I gotcha.
And so I came limping in here, but if I'm going to be completely honest with you right now, I drove my car in here. I was sober. They gave me my thing, and I was 0.0. Now listen, I'm shaking like this.
Yeah.
I blew a 0.
Yeah.
I drove my car in here. I parked way out there in the guest parking lot so they wouldn't see me. I didn't know what cameras they had. They didn't have a gate up out there yet. Parked way over here, and I had a code on my door, my Ford Taurus, so I knew I could get in. So I put my BlackBerry phone underneath my mat, and I put my keys underneath. And I came in with my suitcase that I just got dropped off. They said, well, we need your phone. And I said, I didn't even bring it. Lied right through my teeth. So that tell you I was ready to get sober?
Right.
Nah.
Right.
Told my big stories in the first small group here in Kenny. My therapist said, are you done?
Yeah.
Is that everything you've done? Like, he was impressed. I said, well, I think so.
Yeah.
He said, good. Leave that at the door. I said, I don't want to hear anymore. We're here to save lives, not He said, that's your biggest problem. I can tell you right now, is your ego. And boy, I wanted to go home that day.
Absolutely.
A lot of reality checks coming here. So stayed in the hall right next to here and met some of the most amazing people in my life.
Yeah.
Out of the 16 in my cabin, at one point, the closest unit, there's 8 of us that are gone. 2 of them passed away sober. The other 6 were some terrible funerals.
Yeah. Addiction takes everything. I tell people all the time, to become somebody who experiences addiction, it's not something we plan for. You don't grow up and think police officer, firefighter, alcoholic. They are a creative, resilient, strong, brave bunch. It's a little bit of a mind shift, but everything you have to give up to stay an alcoholic. You got to give up your money. You got to be resourceful. You then have to give up your time, and then your relationships, and then degradation starts, the abandonment of self. Then goes your dreams and your goals, your principles and your values, and you're still committed to the drink or the drug. And when that pivot happens, when that light turns on, like you talked about, for somebody to get plugged into a community and connected to a higher power, whoever they choose to believe in or whatever they choose to believe in, amazing things can happen that we've seen. I mean, the stories of people's lives and how they get those turned around, it's pretty just unbelievable, and it's cool to hear how you have traversed that and who you are today. So when you left Cumberland, you didn't stay sober.
No.
Was it immediately after that you relapsed?
About a day, about 24 hours.
Yeah.
We were in here for family. It was during Christmas. So pulling in here today is surreal.
Yeah. And so is this the first time you've been back?
No, I've been here several times, but not in the month of December. Not when I checked in. And
right. It looks real similar.
Yeah.
Leaves are gone.
It was eerily. I've been in here probably 15 times since then.
Right.
Working with Johnny Mack and the music program a few times.
Good.
And coming here for Sunday. I've had a lot of good friends here, so I'd come for a Sunday family or a lunch.
Yep.
But none of them hit me until like today. I've dropped a few guys off here too.
Right.
But it was different today. It was kind of dark like it was then, and I saw the playground that I played with my little boy over there, and that picture comes up on the Facebook of he and I with my name tag, me holding him, and that was the same day his mom told me she wanted a divorce. And Johnny, I called him Papa Smurf. I can't think of his last name.
Rosen.
Yeah. Came up. We were looking down on the gym, down to this floor from up there. And
Today?
No, 10 years, when she told me she was leaving, he came up to me and put his arm around me. He said, talk to me. And I could see her down in the gym with my little boy and my mom and dad there. And I said, she's leaving me. She doesn't want me to come home. And I could not believe that was happening to me.
What did he say to you? Do you remember?
Yeah. He said, well, don't let that get to you. Stick this out. He said, a lot of things change. He said, imagine the emotions you're going through. Imagine the emotions, the emotions she's going through, and she's having to do this from the person she loves and take a child away from a father. He said, give her the space. Try not to say anything too quick, because he had already been around me enough to know I was a smart aleck. And he knew that I was a short man syndrome. I get you with the joke, and I got you. I don't have to beat you up if I can make you look dumb. So, and I'd already admitted all that. So that's where he heard me admit those things, and he said, watch your tongue. Have a tempered tongue.
A lot of wisdom right there. Shout out to Johnny Rosen. He's still here.
I know. I've seen him at lunch a few times.
He is still here helping people. Just a quick story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Last year, Christina, sometime in the past year, we were cleaning out our archive, which needed to be cleaned out. Okay. Thousands of Polaroids. Even these, what are they called? The tapes before the VHS. Betacam. I didn't even know they existed. So
Beta what?
Betamax. Betamax. That's what they are. So we want to digitize everything. We got pictures. I am not exaggerating. Thousands of photographs Johnny Rosen. Not just him, but him giving people coins. Yeah. Thousands. And he's been here a few decades, several decades. He was here obviously when I was here. And there are so many of the stories of him being there, wrapping his arm around somebody and just saying, it's going to be okay, and we're here for you. So when you tell that story and I see the emotion in your eyes and it makes me a little emotional, and I think about the playground and I think about not just your story but everybody's, it's just our honor, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I know it was painful.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't make it, but gosh almighty, I'm glad that...
I'd never have the vision I have now. I mean, every time my son tells me he loves me, I hang on to it. We survived, you know. When she told me she was leaving me that day, the next day I'd planned to leave. Told you I had all my stuff in my car.
Yep.
I went to the lunchroom and got done, couldn't stop crying, and I was walking right through the middle section. I snuck a picture today of that spot in the middle.
No problem.
Was walking out, and my buddy David, my cabin mate, walked up and introduced himself to me and said, "Hey, you all right?" And I told him the truth. I said, "I'm out of here, man." I told him I had that stuff out there. And he said, "Well, my wife's leaving me. She's divorcing me. My child's 14. And he said, if you're going, I'm going." I said, "No, man, don't do that to me." And he's, "Well, how about this? How about you give it a chance and stick around for a few more weeks?" This is after Johnny gave me advice.
Right.
I was in my own head.
Of course.
I wanted to solve everything.
100%.
I was going to go home and get some roses for her and say, "Listen,
get your hands all over
baby.
it." Yeah,
you know.
right.
And he's like, "Yeah, that's a terrible idea." And so I stayed, and all my buddies signed my book. I would have never had that. I would have never got sung out, you know. And I earned them 30 days of sobriety from here, and I still have that token. And I've talked to David at least 4 to 5 times a week since then. He just got his 10-year chip this last week.
No kidding.
Another guy got his 10-year chip yesterday from when we were all here, and I would have too, but, you know, I'm at 8 years and 10 months, so.
Congratulations.
When I left out of here, those next 14 months were, I'm a walking miracle, no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt I could have been one of those guys that did not make it. I was in the hospital 14 times.
Man.
In 14 months. Just my body was falling apart. My liver, my kidneys, my mental capacity was gone, threatened my life, even though I truly did not mean that. I was trying to get attention. I didn't have enough kahunas to do something like that.
Sure,
no way was I going to go out and
no doubt
in a mess. So
right.
But
what a gift too.
Yeah,
those 14 months.
Absolutely. I knew what it was like to lose my home. I went home to a for sale sign. She asked me to go to sober living. I said, absolutely not. You can leave if you like, but I pay for that house. I'm coming to it. I didn't even know how to pay the phone bill. I didn't know how to do nothing. But I went into an empty house. She took everything and left my pictures of my music awards up because she knew what she thought was important to me. And sold the house quickly, and I moved into a hotel off Conference Drive in Goodlettsville, and was there for about 3 months. And then I got me a rental house that had popcorn ceilings in it. It was built the same year I was born in 1972, and I don't think they'd ever touched it. And I can remember going to work certain days and doing things, and I'd have the sparklies on my face after a shower because it'd fall down. I remember going to any absolute length. You talk about us being clever. I would find a way to the liquor store at the opening every morning like a shark. Had 5 different liquor stores, so not everybody could tell the real me. I had dents in all 4 corners of my car from running into things. It was rough. It was a rough time.
Absolutely. It just outside looking in, what a gift. It takes what it takes in our journeys, you know. There's a line out of a book that I read that says, when we're beaten, we become willing. You know, and I love that one. It's stuck with me, you know. It's real dramatic, right? But it's one of those in early recovery that stuck with me. It's like, there's a lot of truth to that, man. When pain gets great enough, you know, we'll get willing and take action because there's a difference. Yeah. You know, a lot of people assume that, you know, your rate of relapse correlates to your level of willingness, and I don't believe that to be true because a lot of people relapse that are real willing to be in recovery. It's just about the action that you take. I'm curious, after all of that wealth of experiences, the highs and the lows of your life, the serendipity of Brad, which I think is a beautiful part of your story, in so many ways, because there's no doubt that something was happening there with who you became and the lives that you touched musically. But I want to ask you about recovery, and I want to know about what you alluded to, patience and ego, which I think are powerful stories to tell. What else comes to mind, Jamie, when you think about your recovery journey over these last 8 years and some change? What's changed in you and the fabric of your character?
I'm much more honest. I still get scared and stretch the truth sometimes, but I've got that 10th step I can go back to. And
thank you for saying that, by the way. That's the truth. We all.
I do.
Yeah.
I say it in the meetings all the time, and even after the meeting, some of my buddies are like, "Well, what, are you bull crapping me, or what is it?" And I'm like, "Listen, man, I'm not always." But if I tell you how big my fish is, you might not want to believe that. That little man syndrome comes out all the time.
Yeah.
I had about a 48-inch vertical leap. But, but no, it's just made me more honest. It's made me more straight up, asking Susie Q, my wife, for help.
Yeah. So y'all are still together.
Yeah, man.
What a warrior she is. Shout out to Susie Q, man.
She wrote me this song called Try Me that she never came from this. She thought the song would save me. She was doing anything she could. This was all before she left me.
Speak to you in your language, yeah.
It was before I ever came in the doors here, she wrote it.
Wow.
Called Try Me. I'll make you feel better than you ever will, like medicine in your veins, the kind that heals, takes away all the pain. And I'm the only dose you'll ever need, so try me. And I do that every recovery I go to now. I sing it to them. So in your recovery, this is for your loved ones that love you. That would, if they could write a song and save you, this is what they would sing to you. But we know that it's our job to do what we've got to do. But it's built. I'm just a better character. I don't hang up my rewards anymore in my house. She did, and if she didn't, I would never say a word about it. Now I'll tell you what goes up on my fridge, like a lot of the folks from back home in Indiana, certain places, certain populations will put every picture they can imagine on their fridge and magnets. I got all my sobriety tokens on there. That's the ones that mean something to me, because without them, I am nothing. Every employer I go to, I'm a little older now, so I work a steel job. I do my recovery. Weekends, I travel the country, Boston to Florida, to everywhere. I work treatment centers, sharing my story, writing a song with the patients, clients, people just like me, giving them hope. And it's a blast. Then we do karaoke before I leave. I take my little speaker with me. And through the week, I get up and I go sell steel like I used to. And I love it. I love it. And it's made me just more responsible, more successful than I've been. And on top of that, I got to make amends with all the Graskels. I left the Graskels. That was my big change. They say change things. When I went into recovery in March of 2015 to Texas, I wanted to come here, but Steve Lee said, "Too familiar for you now. You need to show me you're wanting this." And
100%.
They don't have a bed. If you're willing to get to the liquor store if you really want this, then you're going.
Sure.
He said, "Just do me a favor and don't waste that bed, man. If you don't want it right now, it's okay. I still love you, but please don't waste somebody else's sobriety if you're not going to do this."
Right.
And so I did what he said, shut my little mouth, and didn't take my guitar out there, none of my stories. 2 weeks into it, Susie Q called me. I was supposed to come home in April, and divorce would be final 2 days later. She called me 2 weeks in and said, "Hey," I didn't even know she knew where I was at. She knew I was at another treatment center because I checked into several, never stayed, except here and there. And she said, "I was thinking maybe we've had a lot of really good years. And I was thinking maybe if you thought you would want to when you get home, we could work on us instead of." Wow. And of course I said, "Yeah."
Of course.
Wow. I know not everybody gets to come home to a family, because at first time it didn't happen for me. I lost them. and I got him back, and Cole was 6 years old. He's now 6'1" and 15 and bigger than me, and I wore out 4 recliners with him, watching some terrible cartoons, but I'll never forget the days I got to leave the Grascals. They let me go to be healthy, and I got to be a common man for 8 years and just go to meetings and go to work, earn a family, dig myself out of bankruptcy. My family lived in that little old house for 7 years, and now we live in a big, beautiful cabin in Cottontown, Tennessee, and 5 acres of land, celebrating 24 years of marriage in March.
Wow, congratulations.
And they're looking forward to me coming home tonight. So.
Right, no doubt. And correct me if I'm wrong, you have reunited with the Grascals.
Yeah. A year ago right now, they asked me to fill in on the Opry, and so I took Cole and Suzanne, the first time Cole had been back since he'd been little.
Right.
And he had grown up thinking everybody knew him, like,
right.
What's Vince Gill doing tonight? Because he got pictures of all the walls of him with him, and he got experience again. So now he's going to remember it really well. And they saw the smile on my face out there. And when I came off, and we got talking the next morning, eating breakfast, and then Cole said, well, why don't you, they keep asking you to come back, why don't you go back? Because I kept telling them no.
Huh.
I told Dolly no on one small tour she was doing.
Why is that?
Didn't think I was ready. I was so, I don't know, because what was embedded in my head was not only my illness going on, my mental things going on, the depression of even being in another fancy bus, because to me they weren't fancy. They were just a bunch of people stuffed into a trailer going down the road, and that got lonely for me. I had zero desire to stand on a stage or any of that part.
Wow, man.
And time took time. I was loving the recovery thing, doing it every weekend, traveling, doing well doing that, and I loved spreading recovery, and I didn't have to take care of 6 people.
Right.
I only had to take care of me.
Right.
And I was home all the time. I got to help raise my boy. Did I make a lot of mistakes in that? Probably so, because
of course,
Dad came home. We were more like buddies, and I want to just win him over because I'm home and I almost lost all this. So sure, you can get up at night and have an Oreo cookie. Come on. So yeah, I did things wrong, but I wore out them 4 chairs.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be on my lap.
Yeah.
And
so what was it like, you think, for them going with you to see you perform back again with the Grascals?
Magic for all of us. I wasn't looking to go back. I got patient and wasn't looking for anything anymore because I was content. I was happy with what I had, and I wasn't asking God for more and more and more.
Yeah.
I was getting up saying, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is amazing life. And even through financial things, I still got problems. I lost my dad.
Yeah.
Passed away. I had
Life
bad
happens.
days.
Yeah.
But I was handling it without drinking, so I was just getting through things better. And they told me the next day, Cole says, why don't you finish what you started? Go back.
Wow.
So I finally said yes. And, man, we're midway through the album. Had a very good year. They agreed not to be as busy as we used to be. We're not the young bucks on the thing. There's nothing to prove except to make the music we started to make and have fun. Be creative again, like we were just getting started. And it has had the reverse effect. It's coming up on our 20th anniversary of being the Grascals, 2014. Gigs are coming in. We're getting to turn down gigs because we all agreed this is for fun.
Yeah.
We're not going to travel the roads like crazy.
Yeah.
And I still got to do my recovery. So I told them this is what's important to me. Like the steel job, when I sat down for the interview, I'm an alcoholic. And if I don't go to my meeting every day or as many days as I can possibly physically get there, I'm not going to be worth 1 red cent to you. We'll all regret this move.
Yeah.
And I understand if you don't want to hire me because of that.
Yeah.
100%. And they hire me every time. And the Grascals took me back because they saw what alcohol and depression and mental illness and untreated, they saw what it does.
Let me ask you a different question.
Sure.
What has recovery brought to your music now?
Confidence, man. I can sing in church.
Has it affected your creativity? Has it affected...
Yeah, but I go back and some of the favorite songs people like of mine don't even make sense to me. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
But they had cool little vibes to them, and I had a
Right.
I didn't care. So maybe I'm a little more conservative. I don't know. But as far as on stage, I don't think I've ever sang better. I've never had more compliments on that side of it. I'm more honest on stage. I never get up there and preach, but I always do my recovery song, and I always tell them where I've been and why. Yeah, I've been gone
That's
for 8 years
awesome.
for a reason.
That is
and
awesome.
there's some of you that probably cringe for me saying this, but there's somebody out there that might walk up to me after we get done and say, I need help.
That's what it's about. We're all having this shared experience. We all go through life. We all have pain. I mean, life is a painful experience. You know, we deal with loss and change and expectations, and any opportunity we have to connect to people and make it okay for somebody like you, the work that you've done, the opportunities you've had to say, me too.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And if you're struggling with that, maybe a piece of that storytelling is a different type of meeting for you,
Yeah.
different type of service, you know, because I can go ahead and guarantee that wherever you're playing, there's somebody that is struggling,
Oh.
you know, and they probably feel in that moment that the
their
spotlight's
child-
on
their child.
them. Yeah. That's a whole different.
Where can I get them? Well, you know,
Right.
there is a, you know, of course, we're not going to answer the question here right now, but there's an answer.
Yeah.
There is a way out. And
Well, I would like to say a special shout out specifically to Music Cares,
yes, me too.
For
Me too.
musicians.
Thank you so much.
because it's a really unique program for folks that work in the industry that help them, not just behavioral health, but medical needs as well, to get them the care that they so desperately need. And we've been a partner with Music Cares for a long time, and it's just our pleasure, you know, to be one of their partners in Tennessee and to touch as many lives as possible. So that's cool that you had that experience in Music Cares for sure.
Yeah.
Go to their website if you're a musician.
Absolutely. It's an amazing program, and I've seen it help several of my good friends.
More than you would. I'm not going to name names,
Right.
obviously, or anything, but a lot of people are touched by addiction. You know,
Oh my gosh.
obviously, but you know,
Yeah. It's I truly feel that the one thing that is stronger and goes through the vessels of our veins to everybody we love that we come in contact with, whether it be family or coworkers, that's as strong as addiction is recovery. It is just as strong and just as obvious, because addiction is obvious the second I step out of my car. The judge gave Suzanne a breathalyzer for me when we were split up. She's like, I don't need that breathalyzer. He's either not showing up, or when he does, I'll know the second he gets out.
yeah,
Vice versa. Everybody where I walk in now, even if I'm overweight 10 pounds or something, like, man, you look great. They know the second I get out, the people that truly know me and love me know the second I get out how strong this recovery thing is. And it radiates through my boy, through my wife, through her mom, who's not worried about their daughter now, and her daddy, my family, all the way to the coworkers and the ones who are trusting me to go out and represent a company, perhaps, or a festival, to show up and not stay on the bus and not show up. It radiates.
it's awesome. Well, I want to thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story and being so, I really mean this from the middle of my heart, vulnerable and transparent, because you didn't have to do that, Jamie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have pushed you. But I appreciate that, and I want you to know it matters, and thanks for everything you've done for our little organization here in Middle Tennessee. You know, we're trying to help as many people as we can, you know, that have shared experiences to us. I want you to say hello to your boy and Susie Q. I wish you would have brought her, actually, because she's an MVP.
She would have loved it.
Next time.
Yes.
Next
she
time, I'd really
comes a
love for her to
lot.
come. Yeah,
She was at work today and couldn't scoot out.
I understand that. But what I want to do now is actually, I bet Johnny Rosen is here. I'd like to go find him if he's probably around the corner. So just anyways, thanks a lot, Jamie. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you.
It means a lot to us, and your support, and anything we can do for you in the future, just let us know.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.